All right, here we go. This is a regular state of the Black Sci-fi. What do you call it? Exclusive on the Sci-Fi Express lane. You know how you did the State of the Union? Well, this is the State of the Union of Black science fiction. We always talk about Black science fiction, and I wanted to name this video Beyond Black Sci-Fi. Basically because I think we're in a post-Black Sci-Fi era. And when I say that, I don't mean Black Sci-Fi is dead. And I think I said that in a past video, but I was in reference to something else. So what I mean when I say we're beyond Black Sci-Fi. Black Sci-Fi, let's define it and let's set it up straight so that way nobody gets it twisted, right? So Black Sci-Fi is Black people's imagination and answers to the what-if speculations that fuel sci-fi, right? That fuel speculative fiction, whether it is all of the subgenres, whether it is military sci-fi, whether it's hard sci-fi, whether it's fantasy, whether it is horror, zombies. It's our imagination, right? As Black people. And when I say Black people, I'm meaning Black Americans, but it also includes, you know, as Black people, we are children of Africa, right? So we are part of the diaspora, you know, the diaspora, the whatever, lost tribes, whatever you want to call it. So as we fall into that, children's of, we are similar to Black Africans in England. We're similar to Africans in the Caribbean. We're similar to Africans in Brazil, in the sense that we have a mother culture that is Africa. Now, all variations, because we weren't raised in Africa. We speak English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, okay? Those languages from those cultures have had an impact on us. I give all of that history lesson because it impacts our imagination, and our imagination is what fuels our answers to these what-if speculative questions of sci-fi. So that's the beauty of it, because we are not Portuguese, English, French, Spanish. We aren't these things. We speak their language. We have their culture stamped somewhere on us, but we still have our own culture that bleeds through. Good example of that is with horror, you know. Their culture tells us through H.P. Lovecraft that ghosts are bad, zombies are dead, you know, they're evil, right? But our culture tells us, our African culture tells us these things are spirits, that we actually knew them when we were alive, and they protect us. They become our ancestors. There's almost like an inherent moment of clarity when you die or you transition that makes you want to behave lovingly to those that are alive. Now, both of those are beliefs, and I'm not going to get fully hotep on everybody and say, no, the Africans knew. I'm just going to say they're believers too, right? But what they, you know, believe is different than what Europeans and the languages that they speak, the French, the Portuguese, the English, and the Spanish. Okay, so we just leave it there, right? Or the Dutch, right? But the Dutch, you know, they didn't hold us down the way these other enslavers did, right? So that's why we don't speak a Dutch language. Dang, I got a fly in the car. All right, so where do we go from there? We take that and we merge it through all of these subgenres of sci-fi. We come up with steampunk, come up with cyberpunk, we come up with our black sci-fi per se, big umbrella, which, in the past few years was just theories, right? You had black writers writing stories that had twists on it, but they were white characters, right? Just to get put on, just to get their zombie picture, their vampire werewolf picture put on. And so now it reverted back to, oh, shoot, Black Panther happened, so now I don't have to masquerade my writing into a mainstream format, that I can go straight at the question like the Koreans do with their zombie pictures. They don't try to offer anything different. So when we talk about this is my problem with like Tomei, not Tomei, oh my God, the one who wrote Benti. I'm not disrespecting. I actually did forget, right? And I mean Indigo Okafor. Now I got it. So respect given, right? So my challenge to her is, Black Sci-fi is an idea, and was an idea for a long time that just started to emerge. We as Black science fiction writers, the few that we had that pushed through, the Stephen Barnes, now I forgot another one. Wild Seed, God, Kindred, Octavia Butler's, right? Even my favorite, L.A. Banks. These writers that came to mainstream prominence before Black Panther, they were sort of anomalies, right? Even take David Anthony Durham, right? Acacia. That's still a sort of an anomaly. He couldn't put his people on the cover, and I'm pretty sure he was heavily impacted by that potential to make sure that he got a mainstream appeal. So when we talk about the difference between black sci-fi as an African-American sci-fi genre, is very hard because it hadn't revealed itself to be compared to what is considered African sci-fi. African sci-fi didn't have the gatekeepers that African-American sci-fi had. And even with that, a lot of the N.D. Okafors and other African writers really got put on in the colonies, right? And not colonies, in the Western countries, right? They got put on in America, they got put on in England. I don't know if they blasted out of Africa in their home country. I don't know if N.D. Okafor, I can't remember if her books took off in Nigeria. So, still, is it handpicked by gatekeepers? I don't even know if the books are #1 in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if she fully even represents her African sci-fi, right? But what I do know is with African-American sci-fi, black sci-fi, which I'm pretty sure, people include the Caribbean, which is fine, hasn't really, exposed the world to itself, right? And that's only been recently. I remember when I first got into black sci-fi writing or writing sci-fi, I had written Gold Digger Killer, which I can classify as sci-fi. There's some fantasy in there, but that's really a hard swing. But definitely my next book, Thug Angel, and then It Happened on Negro Mountain, they're both fall under the sci-fi. Negro Mountain a little bit more under horror, but where it's going is definitely going to be paranormal, right? So that's science fiction, or falls under the umbrella of speculative fiction, what is called science fiction and all of that. But I didn't know science fiction fully existed. I was a fan of L.A. Banks and Stephen Barnes and I didn't even know how to express a black expression of a cyberpunk future. Even the brother who created cyberpunk did it as a non-black world. What would be our expression of that? And when we did the book The City, right? The City was a collection of 18 writers that came together, and we wrote what could probably be the first cyberpunk book. The first book of short stories about this cyberpunk future. And, Milton Davis, props to him. He put the world together. And, we kind of all input it, right? It started off, put these pictures up, write this character's background, and the next thing you know, it blossomed. And we really leaned off each other from it, right? And for all the authors that was willing to define it, right? So we collectively came up with an answer. We just came out with a book that's maybe 3 to 4 years in the making, because the imagination had to be confirmed and put out there. We came up with a book called Spy Funk, right? Black secret agents, black spies. Why is that so hard? Why is that so hard? Well, not even having read the other stories, I'll tell you the challenges in my story was, we could all just say a black James Bond. Okay, black James Bond. Black James Bond ain't even easy to imagine because he protects the Queen. Her Majesty's Secret Service is the name of the agency. That was the first movie, right? So what black man do you know that's reputable in the black community would do that? We had to scrub all of that and go to the blaxploitation era, and Shaft, and let those become our models. And Shaft was counter intelligence. He did his own thing. He worked for himself pretty much. Even the remake of Shaft even pulled further away from that, right? So we had to go to that. He wasn't, black American culture is disenfranchised from the mainstream. So a black secret agent, up until Obama, and even now, would sort of be a sellout, just like a black Superman, if they didn't do things to help the black community. Any black character, black superhero, is burdened a little bit with helping the black community because we are an oppressed and still oppressed people. Police still kill us, and they get less sentences than they would if they were to kill a white person. That may be progress, but it ain't justice, right? So those things burden ourselves. So now, why do I say, back to my initial statement, because I know I'm running out of video, but why do I say beyond Black Sci-fi? Well, because we are now actualizing these things, right? Spy Funk in a few months will not be a theory. It will be something in practice. Cyberpunk is not something in theory. It's in practice. When we start putting our own, now we have individuals like me. I've written Rashida the Zombie Killer. We have The Dark Universe, which is another anthology of black people in space. I've got Welcome to Boss Lady's Planet. And then we don't limit Black Sci-fi to just novels. I mean, these are literary genres, right? But they extend to comic books. Comic books been in space, superheroes since Icon and what's the black the black character that we are supposed to be writing that had a Wakanda before Black Panther. God, I can't remember his name, but that's why I need to take notes and not do this while I drive. All right, because I can't look down at stuff. But there's a black comic book character that had got his world in Uganda protected before Black Panther came out. and it, you know, very similar. But we've been in space in comics for a long time. As far as movies, yeah, Brother from Another Planet was slow. The Man Who Fell from Earth that's coming out this summer, and Jordan Peele's Nope. We don't know. We got to, you know, explore it. Kin, which Michael B. Jordan did about 3 years ago, really just scratched the surface of black people in space. Black Panther in space in comics. It's the Tahashi Coates universe, and the gatekeepers in comic books are really strong. So I wouldn't even look at mainstream comics as the model for black liberated imagination. One of the black writers in comics are burdened with gatekeepers, you know. So I don't know how much, because I know my man Rodney Barnes is doing his thing, but he's still, you know, I want him to write his own space universe, you know. I want to see what that's like. He embraced horror with Philadelphia, and that was beautiful, but I want to see his liberated mind take on space. So anyway, and I have my own comic books. You know, I'm not going to blow my own whistle because I'm trying to pioneer and influence all of these. My biggest one that I like is the Harlem Shake universe, which explores disaster stories. And we really don't have a lot of disaster stories. I actually don't know one. And in my disaster story, the Harlem Shake progresses into the post-apocalypse. And that is another naked of black imagination. So the state of black sci-fi, yeah, black sci-fi has expanded, and what used to be the umbrella of black sci-fi is now splintered off into little small categories, 1, 2, 3 books in other small categories. We've been down through the horror from the beginning, you know. We've done the werewolves, we've done the zombies, we've done the vampires, so we've done that, you know. And L.A. Banks was fully liberated when she did her Vampire Huntress series. So, but when it comes to the other ones, space, military sci-fi, man, we are still pioneering those genres. But the cool thing is, we are pioneering these genres. We're writing in them, we're creating in them, we're drawing in them, we're filming in them. So yeah, shout out to everybody that's a part of this movement. This is an incredibly long video, but thank you so much.